Welcome everyone to Full Spectrum Survival. A disaster can strike at any moment. You don't have to know when it's coming. You don't wear your seatbelt because you know that you're going to get into a car accident. You wear it because you might get into a car accident. It's the same methodology with disaster preparedness. You don't know when an earthquake is going to strike your area. You don't know when a tornado is going to hit. For some things, sure, there are limited lead-up warnings. A tornado, for instance, you know that a storm is coming, but you don't necessarily know that an earthquake is going to strike off the coast and send a tsunami. You don't know that there's going to be a nuclear accident at a power plant. You don't know when war is going to break out. And so it's for these things, the unknowns, that we prepare for. One of the largest complaints that we get from people who are new to preparedness and sometimes overwhelmed with what is going on in the world around us is that it's too expensive. They don't have enough money. And I can understand that. If you look at some preparedness measures like a year's worth of food, large radiation preparedness, building a bunker, things like that, of course, those things are very expensive. But those aren't the people who always survive a disaster. It's the average person, you and me, people who are strong in their will and in their body to persevere that event and to see their way into the other side of the crisis. Those are the people that we're making this video for today. I'm going to take you with me as we look at a 100% free way that you can get started preparing. Let's go. We're doing a video on how to find books and information on things that people don't do anymore, like gardening and things like that. Could you point me in the right direction?
For gardening? Mm-hmm. You can use the card catalog. I want to say it's in the 700s.
Okay.
Looks like it's actually $635.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, well, obviously we found some great books on gardening. We've got the Big Book of Gardening Skills, backyard harvesting, a couple of other things, we're going to now look for some other skill-based books and see what we can find. Got some car repair books that would be useful. Calming your anxious child. That's something that you could use in a disaster, especially if you have a higher needs child. Cannabis health on using marijuana. Essential oils for mama and baby. And look at this is even better. We've got the Encyclopedia of Medicinal Plants. Alright, well, we've got a couple of books here. Let's take a look and see what we can get. Now, I think that it's obvious that where we're at is a public library. This is something that is paid for with your tax money. It's something that you have access to. It's completely free, and it's a way for you to build your skills in a way that you can do so at your convenience. You can go and see what's available. A lot of states will have access to books and information across the entire state. So if you are looking for something that's not necessarily particular to your region or in your area, you can look all the way through your entire state's library book access and have them shipped to your state. If maybe you don't like to get out as much or you don't like to go into the library in that public setting, you can do ebooks. Most states now have ebooks where you can rent them for a certain number of days or borrow them for a certain number of days, and it downloads them to your computer or your phone where you can read them and gain that information. Let's take a look at some of the things that I got today and how they might apply to disaster preparedness. The first thing that really caught my eye was NAC Make It Easy Home Repair and Maintenance. Now, when are you going to use that? A lot of us are not as up to date as maybe a general contractor or an electrician when it comes to fixing repairs, but during a long duration emergency, you're going to find the need to repair things on your own. There's not going to be any calling the plumber, calling the electrician. You might be evacuating into an area where the electricity is working, say solar is there, but you don't know how to make it work or to hook it up, or plumbing should be working, but it's not. Maybe the generator isn't driving enough power to the electrical system, and you need to just cordon off a certain number of electronics. These types of things, you can use skills gained from free information like this so that you can be better prepared to survive that disaster. This goes into a lot of kind of like common sense. Here's what you'll be looking at information. Washing machines. We've got toilet repair, talks about the different parts, the toilet leaks, the float, the flush valve. Those are all things that are going to be amenities, huge amenities during the disaster. Of course, you're not going to be as worried about unclogging not unclogging a sink, that's the page I'm looking at now. You're not going to be as worried about fixing a chip on a countertop, but things like unclogging a sink will make it so that you can do your dishes inside. You can remain sanitary and high hygiene inside. Unclogging downspouts. We've got broken windows, holes in plaster. So if you get into a long duration emergency and someone has broken areas of your home, or you get into an area where things are broken, you want to make it look nice, you can do so. Repairing cracked concrete and fuses and fuse breakers, that's very important. Talks about the dangers associated with that. We've got renewable energy. Remember, I just picked this off the shelf. I had no idea it was going to have some solar information in it. It continues with microorganisms like mold. Black mold is going to be a huge disaster, a huge crisis in every disaster. Bees and wasps, another crisis. You've got termites and wood eaters and how to handle them. Shelving, how to make closets. So it's really going to allow you to make the most out of your situation. Sealing your house, and when it's too sealed, weather stripping. All of this would be very good information for you to have, even if you just brought it home and read it. The next book that I found here was the Encyclopedia of Medicinal Plants. We all know how important preventative medicine is and how important post-disaster natural medicine will be. So let's look at some of the information here. We've got an index of diseases, lack of blood flow, lip sores, liver toxicity. Let's look at that because liver toxicity is a huge issue. So that's going to be page 380. Let's see here. Actually, strangely, this must be a part 2 of an encyclopedia because it starts at page 424 on the pages. But maybe I'm missing something here, so let's see. We've got our index of plants, descriptions, generalities, active principles, plant toxicity, plants for the stomach, plants for urinary system. Let's see. Oh, I see. Chapter summaries. Okay. Let's talk about gastric hemorrhage. So 421. There is a serious symptom which always demands specialized medical care, they say. It can manifest through vomit and blood. There is a knotweed, which they show on page 272, promotes blood coagulation and increases capillary resistance, and grape vernon, which is an astringent and anti-hemorrhage. So this is going to show a lot of things. Coriander, we've got columbo leaf, which is a stimulant on the coriander, star anise. Let's see what else we've got. Red currant, tonic for digestive organs. See some other things that we might be familiar with just in everyday life. Flax, we all know flax seeds. It says for thousands of years, flax was cultivated in Mediterranean countries in order to obtain textile fibers. 2,500 years ago, it became a medicinal herb. It says the oil contained in linseed flour becomes rancid. It just gives you a warning there, which is real good. Preparation and use, decoction of 30 grams of seeds per liter of water, cold extract. You're going to steep for 12 hours and a spoonful of seeds in a glass of water. Drink 2 to 3 glasses of this every day. Poultices, shows you how to make a poultice. I mean, this is a great book of information. Celery leaf, which is good for diuretic. Sesame, just tons of information here. Okay, let's go to the big book of gardening skills. We all know how important your garden, your survival garden is going to be after a crisis because there's not going to be any going to the store. You've got primary plant food elements, discusses the elements like nitrogen, phosphorus, and secondary elements. Recipes for compost, how to make your own compost without a pile. Thinning outdoor seedlings, planting in rows. Just skipping through here, we've got dealing with pests. Mites, dealing with mites, whiteflies and weevils, and then it goes into the individual plant, perennials, asparagus, parsnips, growing sweet potatoes. Tubers is something we should all be considering growing in a disaster. It talks about planting fruit trees, gardening with flowers and starting a plan. This is imperative information. These are things that are going to help you during a long duration emergency. They're going to help you and your family survive. I'm going to go ahead and check these books out, take them home, digest some of the information, and let's go over it together. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other things that I got. Now, some people are going to say they've already burned the bridge at the library and they owe fees and owe a couple of different things, or they have another reason not to go get it. Most cities will have forgiveness options. So if you come in, even if it's been years, a decade, whatever it might have been, you can still go get your library card renewed, or you can have a forgiveness of a certain amount of debt, or they might have changed the caps, and so they can only charge you $5 per book. There's lots of things that they can do, especially for those that are in need, the people that are in need, that will give them access to libraries as a great resource of information. There's no reason any one of us shouldn't be using this absolutely free resource. Let's take a look at some of the other things I got. This is Backyard Harvest by Joe Whittingham. It breaks down, one of the things that I like initially about it is that it breaks down month by month what you're going to be planting and what you're going to be harvesting. So talks about knowing your soil, your pH level, things like that. January, what to do. Let's just talk about that real quick. Stock up. It says when bad weather keeps you indoors, spend some time comparing the catalogs for mail order supplies. These offer a huge range of varieties. Garden essentials. It talks about forced fruiting, bad apples, new fruit trees. Skipping forward, what to harvest in January. You've got your apples, garlic, endive, come again salads, spring greens, different crops that you can grow. Growing sprouting seeds. This is another great option here. Packed with protein, vitamins, and minerals, sprouting seeds adds a healthy, fresh crunch to salads, it says. Another great thing about sprouting is you can do it indoors. So if you have seeds in bulk, and you have to really have them in a massive amount of bulk, and I'm talking around 150 to 200 pounds to make sprouting a viable option for you. And that's because once you sprout them and eat them, consume them, there's no going back. You're not replenishing that. So it's only a consumable, not a replenishable. But you can go to a place like Costco or Sam's Club and you can get a 50-pound bag of popcorn seeds for very little. I think around $8 the last time that we purchased. And so for less than $30, you're going to have your 200 pounds of sproutable seeds. That's something you can grow indoors, and you can grow it under zero lighting conditions or very poor lighting conditions. February talks about what to sow, goes very in depth into potatoes, and we've mentioned how important tubers are. Next, we've got continuous container gardens. This is by Sarah Begg Townsend and Roanne Robbins. It really doesn't talk about necessarily vegetable gardens inside of containers, but it gives a lot of great information as I've looked through it on how to keep a container a viable gardening option. And it's not so much about the plant that's going in it that makes container gardening worthwhile. It's more about the container, the microenvironment that you create with a container garden. So why would you use container gardening? Well, you would use it for a long duration emergency in which you don't have access to a lot of sunlight. You would use it on your back porch right now in times of peace, or maybe apartment complex porch. Maybe you only have a very small stoop in front of your house that you can garden on. Use container gardening to do that. Another book on container gardening. This one goes a little bit more into vegetables. Ponds in a Pot, talking about wet vegetables. And really the two prize winners, I guess, here. Three prize winners are Knack Made It Easy, Home Repair and Maintenance. A lot of these things I know to do, and I know how to do them. But I'm going to read through it anyways, one, because I can. I have that availability right now. If I'm not going to be outside spending time building a skill, I can be building the most important thing that I have, and that's my intelligence in what to do. So I might find something that I missed. The next one, which I know I have a need for, is Encyclopedia of Medicinal Plants, Education and Health Library. This, like I said, is volume 2. They have volume 1 and 2 there. Just a breeze through showed me that most of what I was looking for was here in volume 2. Talks about wild strawberry, urinary systems, roses, Oswego tea, great for digestion, plants for the locomotive system, that's for moving around, what to do with briar hip, things like that. So much great information here. And what I'll do with this is, instead of taking this as 100% fact, I'm going to take this and find information that is useful to me and then dive deeper into that using university information. And the last one is the Big Book of Gardening Skills. Just to cover up the topic, this is all about soil, organic pest disease control, succession planning, controlling weeds, composting and mulching, and landscaping your garden. So 3 prize winners there. Guys, I hope that you see this resource for what it is and know that people, when they come to you with the fatalistic approach that says, oh, I don't have enough money, I can't do that. Oh, I don't, I can't afford to get food stores in order. This is absolutely free. You can start it today. It just takes that initiative of time. Get to the library, get a library card, and start checking out books. I promise you that you're going to come away more prepared after checking out some of these nonfiction and self-help books than you were before you started. If you found this resource a good bit of information for people to get started, a real easy thing that anyone can do, please share it with friends and family through email or Facebook or anywhere like that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button here to our channel. We want to welcome in our 132,000th subscriber here soon, and hit the alarm button. It's going to allow you to get a message every time a new video comes out. A special thank you from Kelly and I. It's very important to us that this community grows and that we continue to see the camaraderie, the togetherness that we have experienced so far in helping each other. It's just such an important part of preparedness, and one that allows each of us individually and with our families or groups to become that much more prepared, that much readier for a disaster. Remember, it's just a seatbelt. We don't know when it's going to strike. We don't know when it's going to take place, but we want to be as ready as we possibly can. So from our family to yours, please stay safe and keep watch.